Tomyris is the second hero in the Empire Bounty event that you're going to be able to earn or pay for. We don't know yet until it comes out in Age of Empires Mobile. And we're going to be checking her out today, as always, because she looks honestly amazing. This is going to be her intro cinematic to the game, and let's be real, she's coming in with a big bang because everyone is excited about her because of one major aspect, right? When we look at her, she is a Marshal Pikemen Cavalry unit. Yes, you heard right. So if you don't have technically Ramcam, you do have that option now where you could run something like Julius Caesar, Octavian, with your good old Tomyris there, or even you could go Julius Caesar, Bushra with Tomyris. There's going to be a couple of different variations depending on your spender level that gets people excited, and it's the main reason we're going to be looking at her today because her skills look cool and the options that you're going to have in her more skills are going to be very good too as a pikeman player. We're going to talk about the cavalry side too and kind of the issues it has with it. So you know what to do, guys. Smash like, comment and subscribe, and let's dive into today's video. So her actual commander skill, what is her bread and butter rage skill? It's not too bad, but it definitely could be better, and this is why we're going to say don't run her typically as a main commander unit. It only deals might damage to one enemy troop and increases the might damage dealt by the other two heroes. So it's not even actually helping her, it's all about buffing your secondary and third commander. Maybe you might want to run her as your main commander if she's your strongest. Maybe she's like 5-starred and all your others are only 3-starred from some random reason, right? That might be the only time I might suggest it. But apart from that, I would honestly run her in the secondary slot, or even better, in the third slot. So going into her war skill, her good old signature skill on each turn, and yes, I'm saying each turn because we've got first time ever, no surprise here, a Marshal Pikeman with a turn-based skill. So this is guaranteed on her first turn to trigger, and then you're gonna have to wait 9 seconds every time to trigger it once again. That's kind of the whole way these pikemen like to work with their turn-based combats in the martial lineups. And once every 9 seconds, you reduce your troop damage taken by, you can see 2.38%. It is scaling a small amount, but it's something. But it increases the might damage of your other heroes by 5.96 for 3 seconds. And every 3 times your commander uses a skill, increases the damage taken by enemy troops. This does exclude, as you can see, the commander skill and passive base skills. So this stops any sort of kind of shenanigans with counter-attack based passives, so you can't abuse it, right? So it's all about turn-based skills, active skills, secondary strike skills. If you can trigger 3 of those, you're going to increase the damage taken on the target you're basically fighting, which is a pretty good buff, or debuff should I say, to put on the enemy while you are increasing your other 2 main commanders that might be dealing the damage out there. It's just great, really good skill, and this is what people are really excited about, because for a commander that you can get through this Empire Bounty event, seems pretty good, right? Compared to Queen Dido that we've seen, definitely Tomyris is standing above the rest. When we look at her other skills, if you guys are wondering, you do get Armor Piercer, which is going to be a really good skill for the cavalry side, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, don't you worry. And you get Infuriation as the other epic skill. So this would be the one if you're going to go for more of a budget build and you're going to just get rid of one epic skill and keep the other. You would get rid of Infuriation, keep the Armor Piercer for most times sake, right? Just to reduce all enemies' hero armor. Does help in a supportive role because it means your damage dealer is still going to do a bunch of damage. So really, really cool effect. And you are going to be wanting at least one of these skills because this is where Tomyris starts to go a little bit crazy, right? So her unique skill is going to be called Rending Covenant here, and you can see this is going to be a passive base skill, so active under the certain conditions, right? So as long as you hit these requirements, it's gonna trigger, right? At max level 40, let's look at this bad boy. After your troops perform 12 normal attacks, your commander enters a double attack state. for 3 seconds. Each time your commander activates a secondary strike skill, damage dealt to the main target is increased by 3% up to 4 stacks. Yes, you heard right. You are now allowing Pikeman and Marshal Cavalry to have an easy way to potentially enter the double attack state, which we all know is really good in PvP combat, right? And the fact that you're increasing your commander's damage dealt by 3%, this is 4 stacks, so you're giving them, what, a 12% damage increase. Wow, what a absolute monstrous scale. And this is going to be the one you will be equipping onto her and keeping an armor piercer alongside. And honestly, it's going to be a really good super budget build that boosts your main commander and your secondary commander's damage. It's going to increase the damage taken on the enemy troops. It's reducing all of the enemy's armor, and you're also increasing the chance to give a double attack state to your main commander and increase their damage dealt all the way up to 12%. Sounds bonkers on paper, me reading out loud all that you can do there. And it's not just there, guys. If you wanted to get rid of Armor Piercer, to be honest, we've got 2 really good options that we can talk about. The first one I am personally hiding, Roar of Victory. This is going to be a really good choice in certain lineups because it is a secondary strike skill, obviously comboing with potentially certain lineups with the right combinations, why this could be really powerful, generating range, allowing you to hit those commander skills more often and consistent, keeping specifically certain heroes damage up, right? We are going to talk about it. As you can see, I'm hinting towards it. But the one skill that I think a lot of people are not going to look at, and honestly, you should, and if you've not been looking at my live streams, I will honestly try to put a link in the description down below where you can see we did some tenacity testing. And this sounds crazy, this turn-based skill, recover units every 9 seconds, right? 325% armor bonus, right, on it. This skill recovers so much units. I'm gonna be honest with you, it is insane the amount of survivability this can provide to a march. And this might be the way, if you're playing a Pikeman march, you might just want to roll tenacity with Rending Covenant. These 2 combos seem perfect for a Pikeman lineup, and if you're the Cav player, you're going to be going Rending Covenant, Roar of Victory. Perfect for them again for you guys. So that's definitely where I would align the skills. Now let's talk about the pairings properly now, because you can kind of understand that. Actually, no, before we go into that, let's look at her stars, because the stars do change quite a lot too. Her 1 star is pretty okay. Light of Mithra reduces your troops' damage taken by an additional 4%. So if we go over here and we go into the Life of Mithra, you can see once every 9 seconds reduces your troops' damage taken by 2% here. So that's getting increased by that 4. So that's going to be a 6.3 there, right? 6.3% on that number. Level 1 star, it's a good base stat to work from, right? So then obviously scaling up, it's going to be a lot better, hopefully hitting a good number. But then going to a 3 star, this is a really good one. This is where a lot of people are actually seeing a 3 star getting a lot of value. Increase the might damage boost effect of Light of Mithra by an additional 5% and increase the damage taken by enemy troops by an additional 5%. So now, again, if you go back over to this skill, both numbers are 5% increase, right? So this is going to be at minimal, at level 1, a 10.96% increase. And this is going to be a 6.49. So this is basically, 6.5% damage taken increase on that target. Crazy, absolutely crazy when you think about it. Level 1, that is, remember, and this is going to scale up each time you level up the hero, and this is where it's going to be really interesting. And I am going to unlock her because I'm really looking forward to using her in my lineups, right? But her 5 star is where things get really interesting. Every 2 times your commander uses a skill, excluding the passives and obviously the commander skill, triggers an effect that increases the damage taken by enemy troops, and additional enemy troops take an extra 5%. So you add in even more damage taken to that target, but now it's every 2 times, right? Which is massive, right? Because if you look over here, this is every 3, right? So it's increasing the consistency of the skills being up and increasing that damage on them. I think she's going to be crazy good in Pikeman and even in the cavalry, especially later on, right? Because let's go into these lineups now and let's talk about the Marshal Cavs first. We'll go down the Cavs route first because it's going to be a little bit more easier to break down, because the only problem Cavs have, especially the Marshal Cavs, is they don't really have a really good primary commander. I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't. The best lineup, in my opinion, that looks really cool is gonna be an El Cid lineup with El Cid as your primary commander. Then you're gonna have Saladin in there, and he's going to be all about the rage recovery, and then you're going to have Tomyris in there. And the thing is, with this lineup, your Saladin will do some okay damage, but again, you're not really taking full effect of Tomyris buffing both heroes. But what this does is give Cid, hopefully, a solution, right? Because El Cid's main problem is the fact that he can do some absurd good damage. Let's be real, when this is maxed out, this can do some absurd damage. But the issue is he doesn't get the Anthem of the Night quick enough in order to get that working, right? And this does hopefully fix the problem. From our test, Saladin, with even just a simple, going into his skills, if you just run a Saladin with Fervor and Roar of Victory, and that is it, you will generate enough rage where you're not over generating per turn, because a lot of people want to run triple Roar of Victory, and I don't think that's the way forward, which you will see, because you're going to have so much rage, you're going to be stuck on that 250 number for such a long time while it's still on cooldown. People don't realize there's still an internal cooldown you have to wait for, right? So it's going to help him, but you don't want to go over it, right? Because you got to see, this is it's sad, man. Like, reduce the target's movement speed for 12 seconds. You can try and refresh this buff, but again, you'll notice in combat, you'll hit 250 and you'll be stuck there for a few turns, and you wish you didn't have basically Roar of Victory on Cid, for example. And I will say in this video, we might make a full video, and I'm gonna test this. So this is just theory crafting now, but I do think running double attack, weak spot attack, is going to be better, because you're going to have Tomyris entering you in the double attack state if you miss this double attack state, right? So it's actually granting you more attacks, which is hopefully going to allow you to do more damage more consistently, and you're not really having to rely too much on this Anthem of the Night, even though the Saladin should be doing the work for you, right? So that's what I think for Marshal Cavalry at the moment you're going to be running, and I do hope someone better comes out for you guys, because as soon as a really good hero comes out in that primary slot and replaces El Cid, you've got, honestly, Saladin with Tomyris is a very insane combination to put together, a way to have insane regeneration and a really cracked amount of extra stats. You're not going to complain, right? So let's go into the main juice, where I have a little bit more say, a little bit more info, because we were doing a little bit more pikeman testing on the test server. We didn't have Tomyris during it, but we did learn quite a lot in there. And the one thing we did learn is in her skills, as we kind of were hinting towards during our tests, tenacity seems to be overlooked. That's the best way of putting it. This skill, even myself, I didn't think it's going to be any good. It's only recovering units, and even then, when you have this maxed out level 40, it's 217%. This number is still a massive amount of recovery that you will be triggering quite often, and you will not understand it because it's a turn-based skill, and this kind of just works towards itself. It's a weird skill, and especially when it's maxed out and you get 325%. We have footage on live where we have had Warrior Pikemen, Marshal Pikemen running the normal combos, but with tenacity, it just allows you to survive any 1v1, and it's going to give you more survivability. So your main damage dealer, which is your Leonidas, your Julius Caesar, your Richard, for example, whoever you got in that primary slot, it allows them to do their job, which is deal damage, which is really good, honestly. So I'm going to suggest this for the Pikemen. Obviously, having a double attack state is going to be crazy for them. I don't know how good it will be, but it will be interesting to see. It might be better just to run in a Roar of Victory Tenacity combo for Pikemen, because you just care about the rage getting there and obviously the tenacity, and maybe you don't care about this, but we're going to have to check that out. Personally, we have to see if it's going to be any good or not, but it's one of those things, right? But when it does come up to the lineups, you could do a variety of things, especially on the lower spend of things, because it's generally a lower spend. I'm going to suggest these things because you are going to have to unlock Julius Caesar and get him at least like a 3-star and working towards that 5-star, because honestly, the damage increase here is just crazy. An extra 120% on his Crownless King's damage is bonkers. Like, already that would put mine to 340%, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not even working on him right now because I'm having to work on other heroes before we finish leveling all my Marshal Pikemen up, right? Insane. He's an insane damage dealer, right? So you can run Julius Caesar with Octavian, which is on the wheel, and then you can run Tomyris, and that would be a really good combo because both Julius Caesar and Octavian honestly deal an absurdly amount of damage. Like they just do some really good damage, especially if you can do some different things. Like we've got coordination on ours with triple offensive. You can run, for example, King's Blade, which is a lot more beneficial for all of the marches instead of trying to go down this little cheesy route that I'm trying to go down, right? Or even Whirlwind Sweep, but I would prefer King's Blade and triple offensive, like if you're going for more stable combo for those guys that are looking for the actual more stable combo there. And with that and Tomyris, you are going to be dealing a truck ton of damage. Plus, you got to think of the steroids that you've got. Plus now, like, increasing all damage through your Julius Caesar skill. And then the double attack state should help you through normal attacks actually close out fights a lot more than you would expect. So it is going to be one combo to look out for. The other one that people are considering is running, obviously, Ramcam. Running Ramcam primary with your Octavian in the secondary slot and Tomyris in the third. And yes, this isn't going to be dealing as much damage, but if you went down the Roar of Victory and Tenacity route, it does allow that Ramcam to actually generate this Valor of Rama a little bit more often, allowing you to obviously get free troops of your allies into that relaxation state, increasing their damage dealt, and then healing them of 25% of the damage they took during that period, right? So really powerful skill, especially if you're even like a T6 player and this is on T7s and you're buffing them. Like, it's a match made in heaven. Honestly, this helps everyone out there. So this is going to be another combo with Marshal Pikemen that you can go down. As you'll notice, I haven't really talked about Bushra, because the thing is, I do think Bushra is very niche and she serves a meta role, and that's it. And the problem with her is, and she might need a buff to be honest, is the disarm effect, right? This disarm really needs to be going off at like pretty much 100% of the time in order for her to get any value, because you really want to disarm certain heroes like the Mulan or Lubu during their turn, so they can't do anything, and it skips them, and it goes to the Attila's turn, or to the Bush, you know, to the Rani's turn, or Guan Yu's turn, or Bellevue's turn. It just skips them completely, which does help you in the long run of the fight, but Bushra doesn't do that as often, and that honestly does put her on the bench. The best thing we can do now with Marshal Pikemen is run the trifecta, which is the main combo that you run now, and then bench either your Julius Caesar for that Tomyris, or you're going to bench Ramcam for that Tomyris, and that's going to go for a more damage orientated one, right? So you've got a really good clear path now on 2 marches. One is specifically for damage, one is specifically for supporting and buffing allies, right? Which looks pretty cool, to be honest, for Marshal Pikemen. That's why I'm excited too, and I'm going to be unlocking her. I'm going to be working on her. Hopefully in the next Pioneer test server, guys, we get access to Tomyris so we can actually do a bunch of Marshal Pikemen testing for you guys, and we can see how good she is. Then we could do, obviously, the Marshal Cavalry testing too, so they're not left out, because there could be some really interesting combos with her and the other Marshal Cavalry that we've got in game, right? And we might not be exploring them because we're just toddling down on Tomyris, Saladin, and Sid. They could be maybe a good combo with her, with YSG, and maybe Sid, right? Or Saladin in that lineup. Who knows, right? We'd have to figure it out. But hopefully we're gonna get those tests for you guys, and you've enjoyed today's video talking about Tomyris, having a look at her skills, seeing her stars, so you know exactly what she's about, and obviously giving you my opinion on what skills I would run on her and the kind of lineups that she's gonna be fitting in with potentially the skills that you're going to be running with those commanders. So if I've done a good job, smash like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video about with your friends so they can learn a little bit and get a little bit more open-minded when it comes to playing Age of Empires Mobile. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, peace out.